Welcome to my channel.
I 42F cheated on my husband 44 meters 4 months ago and came clean, but he refuses a decision. I think about an ultimatum. Me and my husband are married for a long time and have a 10-year-old son together. When we ever did something right, it's him. 4 months ago I came clean to my husband about me having an affair with a co-worker. The story is as old as the world. I missed the feeling of being desirable, feminine, acknowledged, and that coworker gave me what I needed. It was exciting and felt really good. Especially since my coworker is 29 and igniting desire in a man that young and good looking made me feel a lot more confident. But whenever I looked at my husband, a lot of ugly feelings came up. Guilt and remorse for hurting him if he will ever find out. The thought how heartbroken I would be when he would do that with another woman. Not just the physical act, but the feeling a younger woman could give him, that I would have no words. It took a while to realize how extremely disrespectful my actions were to him, our marriage and our family as a whole. I ended the relationship with my coworker and waited for a weekend where our son was at his grandparents' home. Restrictions here already allowed that. I set my husband down and told him that I cheated on him. At first he thought I was joking, but then he got angry, called me names and asked questions. Some I answered why, how long, etc. Some were just inappropriate. He asked me if I expect him to forgive me, and I basically told him that he must decide that. I told him I would work happily with him on this marriage and absolutely try everything to gain his trust back, but I would also be supportive as possible when he wants to divorce. He asked me again if that's what I want. And I told him, I definitely don't want to lose him. He said he had to think about it. That night I slept on the couch. I felt very vulnerable. The next day he said he will give me another chance, and I was very happy about that, but that faded really quickly. 4 months are over since then and he basically ignores everything. His only demand was that I quit my part-time job because of my coworker and that I get a new phone plus number, so my coworker can't contact me anymore. Since then we only talk about the most necessary stuff. He hardly looks at me or shows affection. Whenever I only touch his arm, he brushes me off. I brought the topic up a few times, he absolutely refused to talk about it. I mentioned therapy, he refused again. I even suggested that he can have a revenge affair because I became already very devastated, but that was a big mistake. He looked at me even more disgusted and said, I am not like you. That hurt me, but he is not wrong. When I asked him when we will begin to work on our marriage or when he will be ready to talk about the affair, he said he doesn't know and maybe never. I can't blame him for his feelings, but I also think he maybe just wants to stay married because of his work, very conservative environment, and of course our son. I love him and I never wanted to hurt him, as weird as it may sound. The affair was something I needed, it was not meant against him, but I begin to resent him again and I don't want to cheat again or live in a loveless marriage. Even when taking our son into account, until he moves out there will still be 8-10 years left. I told him that already, but he always just says, you really expect me to forgive you after this short amount of time? I try to tell him this isn't about forgiveness, it's about the first steps of moving forward, but he doesn't understand it. I know, 4 months doesn't sound much, but it's already really tiring. I can only imagine his feelings are much worse. After all, I betrayed him deeply. But it can't go on like that forever. I thought about giving him an ultimatum of 2 more months for a decision, or I would file for divorce. He would have some free time over Christmas and New Year's Eve and then January to think about everything. Would that be a mistake? But I clearly don't know what else to do. I don't want to live like strangers until our son moves out, but I also don't want to lose him. TL, Road, I cheated on my husband 4 months ago and he told me he would give me another chance but refuses to talk or to work on the marriage. I think about an ultimatum of 2 more months or I would file for divorce, but I doubt it's the right decision. What can I do? Please, English is not my first language. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, you cheated. You made the mistake. You aren't remotely sorry about it, you say it's what you needed, yet you expect him to forgive you and move on as quickly as possible. I think you need therapy far more than he does. Redditor 2, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. Redditor follow up, exactly, and this makes me realize why cheating isn't ever a ducking mistake and people suck, he deserves better. Redditor 3, you are quite a prize, aren't you? You make all the mistakes and betrayals and he has to not only get over it, but to do so on your timetable. Op answer, our marriage had issues before. And as I mentioned, he doesn't have to get over it, but it won't be solved by ignoring the problem. All I want is a first step. Therapy. Or a conversation. But there is coming nothing from him. So I think putting pressure onto him is my last option. Redditor 4, lol you're so trashy. I did it, I made a mistake, I realized how I disrespected him, but I needed IT. What crap? And now you want to rush him? Holy fuck, you're something else. Divorce him for him. You ducking suck. Holy shit. Redditor 5, cheaters are disgusting emo. Redditor 6, I just want to say duck you. Op answer, if you want to act like a child, don't comment on posts where people ask for relationship advice from actual adults. Redditor 7, I think you already know what you want. You just have to be honest with yourself and accept it. Redditor 8, I think you're lucky that he hasn't kicked you out, let alone making demands of forgiveness. You never stated how long the affair lasted for, you have shown no remorse and even tried to justify why you did it. Can you honestly say you've tried to make your husband feel sexy and desired, gave him reassurance and been transparent? I think not. Your demands and reasoning is incredibly selfish, and to demand this shit from him when you're the one getting side DCK is a disgrace. Redditor 9, you cheated, he agreed to not divorce you, and you're ready to throw in the towel after just 4 months. Yikes. You did this. He gets to be mad. He gets to be cold. He gets to feel whatever he wants about it. He gets to take the time he needs. And you have to let him have all of that, since you were the one who caused this whole situation. If you can't do that, then you divorce him. Redditor 10, confessing to infidelity is sort of like jumping off a cliff. You haven't left yourself a lot of options. I think the first thing you should do is some soul searching to think about what you really want. What would it take for you to not feel a desire to cheat again? What can you do to help create those conditions? What can you do to make yourself more attractive to your husband? If you do want to fix it, you need to be incredibly patient with your husband. Breaking off all contact with the other guy is not optional. You will never regain the trust of your husband unless you completely remove the app from your life. Redditor 11, it best him to leave him and let him live his life in his own way. So he could find 10x better partner for him. And a person who understand him. Emotionally. And mentally. And be by his side in every situation whatsoever. Unlike you. You are someone who shouldn't deserve respect and value from a real man. And your son will only understand what real love and how to value a relationship only from him and not from you. You can do the best for him. To relieve from the pain. He would be very much weak for days, but eventually one day he would definitely rise. Redditor 12, you are a hypocrite for giving an ultimatum. Just file a divorce. I know you already make up your mind. You just gonna cheat again? Leave your poor husband. Redditor 13, trash and karma strikes back hard. Redditor 14, you are basically going for a divorce at the time of cheating. Do not blame your husband using irrational reasons so that you can absolve yourself. Acknowledge that these were your decisions. Redditor 15, you stepped out of the marriage once you decide to cheat and you don't regret it. So do your husband a favor and file for divorce. Too stable co-parent better than unhealthy house for your kid to grow up. Let your husband find someone who will love and respect him better than you. He deserves better, and you can go free to see what you are missing in your life without him. Life will never be the same. You made your choice and you have to face the results. Redditor 16, he's probably picking up on the fact that you aren't apologetic and you're in a hurry for him to forget about it. You should have considered these things before you needed to cheat. Redditor 17, the way you talk about the affair not only makes my skin crawl, but it also tells me much more about your feelings than you're letting on. Nobody regrets something and then talks about it in that sort of manner. This tells me that you're not truly remorseful for what you did. I'll also add that you're being very selfish in the way you talk about your husband. You barely consider your husband's feelings, and when you do, it's only about the way they're affecting you. It's only been 4 months. There are people who a year ago were cheated on but still have trust issues and many other problems. So no, you're not in a position to make an ultimatum, considering you're the one who brought this upon yourself. You reap what you sow. Redditor 18, what's stopping you from divorcing him? Afraid he'll out you to your family and friends? You have shown no remorse. But it can't go on like that forever. Yes, it can. He can continue to treat you like an unwanted guest in his home until you leave or file or both. You brought this on yourself. Redditor 19, I think you need to leave him. Your husband is hurt and currently taking revenge. He knows you better than anyone and can probably put you in a living hell at any point. Which he does. Also, a side note, don't pay much attention to hurt men in the comments. They had that one bad experience that hurt me oh so bad. You could save someone's life and they will think you only did that to manipulate your husband into forgiveness. They are projecting hard. Thank you for watching. Comment what do you think about this situation. Don't forget to like and subscribe.